We're going to spin the block now to back what we started with, as we're going to round out the show talking about LSU head football coach Brian Kelly, or former head coach Brian Kelly, that is. And as we were recording this episode, offensive coordinator Joe Sloan have been relieved of their duties. The school announced that Joe Sloan was let go. Brian Kelly was let go as of Sunday night. And it was a very mid-tenure there in Baton Rouge. The overall record looked really good, 34-14. But the big picture thing that a lot of people are missing out on is winning the big games. So I was looking at a stat, and I believe it was either CBS or no, it was ESPN Baton Rouge. Shout out to them for putting out this graphic. The last 4 head coaches at LSU in their first 4 seasons: Nick Saban, 39-13; Les Miles, 42-11; Ed Orgeron, 40-9; Brian Kelly, 34-14. You want to know what those 3 head coaches had that Brian Kelly didn't have in those first 4 years? An SEC title and a national championship. Brian Kelly made it to the SEC title the first year. And we was like, okay, we see you, BK. You made it there. You know, you struggled. Jaden Daniels had that ankle injury. Nuss was gunslinging it. But Georgia, the eventual national champions, won the game. We got you. But we expected the next year, you get into the SEC championship game, you're supposed to be right back. We need that. But you didn't. Like we said last week on this show, or as I said, winning cures all and losing changes minds. You lose some important games in year 2 to crush your chances at the college football playoffs. And then last year, you lose 3 straight games to slam the door on your chances at the college football playoff. As a result, guys were fired. Matt House, which he should have been because that defense was atrocious. You come in the door out the bat and you get rid of Tommy Moffitt, who now helps to kick you out the door with Texas A&M, the strength coach. He was a lot of the reason that those guys were as physical and as dominant as they were in building Texas A&M to what they are now. You put yourself in a position now where it's all on you, but you're trying to find every way to make it not about you. The ESPN or ABC broadcast showed a cut where Brian Kelly was talking to Joe Sloan, and I was there at the end of the half. Joe Sloan calls a screen, and the time is running out, and they have to end up, I think, kicking a field goal or something like that, and they're not able to score. And he's like, Joe, you can't effing do that when you don't have any timeouts. He made sure that he said that so people could see it. Like, bro, you sitting there with the headset on. You heard the play call. You could have literally said, nah, we ain't finna run that. And you bet not. We ain't finna run that play. You bet not. And if Garrett would have ran it, take him out. Get him out. Because when he did take him out there in the fourth quarter, he took him out of the game. Garrett was huffing and puffing and blowing his house down like the big bad wolf. But listen, man, this Brian Kelly tenure was something. It was something. And to a lot of people on the outside, they'll say, well, he had a winning record. But against AP top 25 teams, he was 5-11. When it mattered the most, he couldn't get the job done. So because you can't get the job done, you ain't got no job. You about to lose your job. Now you done lost your job. That's what happens when you don't handle business. I'm ranting early, but E, you got the floor, man. First of all, how do you feel about this?
This was your powwow because you called it. I'm gonna keep it like sweet about it because like this was your powwow. You called this. You seen it from first.
I've been saying this since last year.
Yeah. So it's like the only I'm gonna say I'm really gonna because like this is what you said, but basically Brian Kelly was never a guy that in my mind that was gonna take it to the next level for real. The only time you seen him against the SEC schools when Notre Dame played Alabama, and that wasn't
curb stomp.
Yeah. So when he got here, of course he won some games because you win some games, you lose some games in the SEC, and he was really fortunate to have a talented team when he first got here. Like that's what we really don't talk about. He really had a talented team when he first got here. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. Before then, Keyshawn Booty. He had a lot of people on that roster. Will Campbell. Like he had a lot of talent. So it saved his coaching. It saved his coaching job for a while. But then this year, everything collapsed, and you couldn't blame everything on players because according to most people rankings, you dominated the portal, you dominated the recruiting class, you dominated. You just had it's just your job to put it together. The same way I talk about Steve Sarkisian, you have to put it together. That is your job. So I'm not even gonna go deep into it. I'm just you called it, you shot it. I'm not even gonna say too much about it. Fitz. That was all you right there.
Let me tell you something, man. You spent, as your self-proclaimed, $20 million in the transfer portal, or $20 million to build this roster, so to speak, overall. If they spent $20 million on the roster and you getting 10, that means y'all spent $30 million on this one season, and it didn't cash in. If you don't get a return on your investment, you know what you do? You pull out. You come on back with it. So you spent all that money, and it doesn't pay out for you. And Scott Woodward, you ain't off the hook. Come here, Scott. Your last two football hires have cost upwards of $120 million in buyouts. Jimbo Fisher is still laughing to the bank right now. $76 million from Texas A&M make him leave. Now you got $54 million to make Brian Kelly leave. We'll let you slide a little bit because you brought in Kim Mulkey. She got a national championship. Jay Johnson and brought you 2 in baseball. Slide a little bit. But when it comes to football, you don't need to have no say-so in this. You need to be in the other room. This need to be Jeff Landry, Austin Thomas, the general manager, and somebody else you don't need to be in the room for this. Your resume says that you don't know what you're doing. Pick them other sports.
And Gordon, huh? Gordon got to be in the room.
And Gordon McKernan. That's it. Bring Morris Bart, too, with the biggest checkbook that you get. And Todd Graves with Raising Cane's. Bring the Todd Graves, Gordon McKernan, Morris Bart, Jeff Landry, and Austin Thomas. That's your hiring committee right there. That's it. That's all we need. Don't bring Scott Woodward in there. Don't bring him in there. I'm just saying. Don't bring him in there. And it speaks a lot, too, also, because after the news of Brian Kelly being fired, a lot of former players sending out subliminal messages. Dwight McGlothern puts the smiling emoji with the quote tweet. Trey Holly says, karma. Malik Neighbors, an alum of this show, puts kick rocks on his story. Bro, obviously they really didn't rock with you. They was playing for that purple and gold. They wasn't playing for Brian Kelly. And, the culture thing, it speaks a lot to it because I was reading this article that resurfaced back from 2021. Tobias Merriweather was a Notre Dame commit back in 2021. Brian Kelly was the head coach. The day before he was announced as the head coach of LSU, he was in Vancouver, Washington, at the Merriweather's home, eating they burnt ends, barbecue shrimp, and deviled eggs. Got a phone call saying pack touchdown. He didn't tell them people that he was leaving at all. He proceeded to eat their food and get in the car and drive down the road as the news broke. The daddy saw it on his phone, screenshotted it, sent it to Brian Kelly. He said that's BS. Proceeded to get on a plane and fly to Baton Rouge and was announced as the LSU head football coach the following day. That's who LSU hired. So it seems like brother was very far removed from the program. And like I said before, if you not liked and you losing, you got to get up out of here, brother. You don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance at all. So that's how I feel about Brian Kelly. But when we're looking at, main candidates for who should be the next head coach, for me, number one, you need to find the biggest blank check that you can find and mail it to Nick Saban and Miss Terry and say, write whatever number you want on there. You got to. off the strength of who he is, how he brought a national championship to LSU back in the early 2000s, and who he is to college football. If he says no, then you go to the next best thing. Lane Kiffin right now is a hot commodity. His name has been linked to the Florida job, and now with this one, the LSU job is better than the Florida job. So his name will be linked to this one. So you go to him. But also, if he decides to just use y'all to get a big raise from Ole Miss and pulls out of it, I think the next person that you call is Jon Sumrall at Tulane. Jon Sumrall started at Troy, won a Sun Belt championship, proceeded to come to Tulane, and has his team in position now to potentially be one of the group of four, to be the group of four qualifier for the college football playoff, right? You talk about wanting to fit the culture. The brother's from Texas, the South. So he understands what college football means in this area. He already has a Louisiana pipeline because he's in Louisiana already. He's an hour down the road. And he played at Kentucky as a linebacker back in the day. He gets this. He understands this. He has a winning record. Now, I get it. Right now, you're not in a position to be saying we need to take a chance on somebody. We need somebody that can be a proven winner and all this stuff like that. But hey, Nick Saban has won a national championship before. Lane Kiffin has been a part of a national championship program but hasn't won it as a head coach. Jon Sumrall is a winner. So I'm thinking Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, Jon Sumrall, and then everybody else after that. But I don't think it gets far down the list with this type of job. Somebody going them first 2 to 3. I don't think you make it past Jon Sumrall. I don't think you do. Who you thinking, E?
I'm not a fan of Lane Kiffin. I'm just gonna put that out there.
You don't like none of them doggone assistants that Saban had.
Nah, I like Lane. Let me say this: I like Lane as a coach. I like Lane as a player guy. But for this job, I really don't really like Lane because at the end of the day, I don't think he brings more to the table than what Brian Kelly brought. But I think if you talk about what Louisiana stand for locking down that area, the Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, locking down those recruits in that area. So why not Jon Sumrall? He understands the culture. He won at Troy, which was in Alabama. He did a great job in Tulane, as you just said. And I think that if you talk about not letting your players leave the state, like Louisiana has a lot of great talent in that state. And then you lock that down and you make sure you go grab them. Because if you go look at Tulane roster, yeah, it consists of different areas, but it has a lot of Louisiana talent that didn't go to LSU. There was a lot of Louisiana talent that, probably had a potential to go, but they knew that they was going to get playing time at Tulane, so they probably went to, that's why they went. So, again, you don't have to look too further around now. The only thing that I'm going to ask if that happens, just be patient with Jon. John will be his first year.
Let me tell you something. They ain't finna do that.
I know, but it's just it'll be his first year in the SEC. I'm not saying that he's going to come in here and go win 3 games. So I think if Jon get the job, he wins way more than 3 games. But don't just think that, okay, he signed, that's as good as this will get a national championship. I say give him 2 years. Like Nick Saban. Nick Saban didn't come and just dominate. It took him like 2 or 3 years to get there. So I feel the same way about Jon Sumrall. Let him just explore the SEC a little bit and go. I mean, because at the end of the day, I feel like you already owe Brian Kelly $54 million. You're not Jon Sumrall. I don't think he's going to be that much until he proves himself in the SEC, and I think that's where his money would be made. So again, just let him dominate. Let him dominate. Let him grow in that role. But I think that would be a great move for him because Jon can win. He proved that he's a winner on both levels, from Sun Belt now to in the Tulane conference, and I think he could do it in the SEC. So I think that'd be pretty good for him.
And then I also think, I've seen a dark horse name that I'm not saying is linked to the job, but that I saw someone mention on social media. Kelvin Shepard is the defensive coordinator at with the Detroit Lions right now, and he played for LSU. So that's an option on the table. Obviously, he's not, proven as a head coach at all, but that's also a name that's potential as well. It'll be interesting, man, in the coming days, in the coming weeks, because I believe you have to get this ironed out before Thanksgiving. You have to. because National Signing Day is what I think like December 5th, like early December, if I'm not mistaken. Right around or right after state championships or something like that. So somewhere in early part of December, right? You got to have somebody in here, in-house, hitting the ground running, saying, stay committed to LSU. Because you got some dudes committed to your team already. I think Lamar Brown is one of them. Let me see if I can find it real quick. For 2026. And you got football commits for 2027, like Peyton Houston out of Evangel, Shreveport, shout out to 318, committed to LSU with Brian Kelly as the head coach. Does he stay committed? So right now you got Lamar Brown committed. You have Trenton Henderson out of Pensacola, Florida, committed. Richard Anderson from Edna Carr, committed. Jabari Mack from Destrehan. Aiden Hall. You got guys from the state of Louisiana. Kenny Darby, committed. You've got guys from the state of Louisiana that are committed to this class. You've got to keep them in the house. Then you got guys on the roster. You got to keep them on the roster. You got Jawan Johnson on the roster that are from the state of Louisiana. You got offensive linemen, Tyree Adams, Weston Davis. You got all these guys on the roster that could potentially be gone. You got DJ Pickett, a 6'5", 195-pound corner, which he has hit the portal multiple times on College Football 26. So I'm not saying history is going to repeat itself. But you have him on the roster. You got to keep him. You got to get it done. So, like I said, keep Scott Woodward out the room. Make the right hire. Get this done. The Brian Kelly era is officially over at LSU, as he will be owed $54 million. That's somewhere around, I think, $700,000 to $800,000 a month until he's paid up, I think, until 2031. So them pockets going to be hurt for a long time. Them potholes is not going to be filled. So Louisiana, we just going to get ready. We're going to have to put up with it because that's the cost. And you're going to have to spend upwards in total of $100 million because you're going to have to pay his buyout and you're going to have to go get somebody else. Right. And the going rate for a head coach right now is between $10 to $12 million. That's just what it is. So you can either spend the money and go get Saban or Kiffin, or you can stay local, probably pay a little bit under 10, get a hometown discount and go with Sumrall and see how that goes. But again, like I understand there's very small window, very little time to be wasting. So we'll see. Joe Sloan is also out. Brian Kelly is out at LSU.